Okay, today we're gonna be ranking Gauntlet levels by their design and gameplay. If I say a level is bad in any way, it doesn't mean you could go and give hate to the creators that made these levels. This video is purely made for entertainment, so it's not that serious, but I will be giving some valid criticism. Alright, that's it for now. Overture is a very interesting level. The designs are mostly the same through the whole level, and the gameplay is kind of all over the place. My first complaint is probably the emptiness of the blocks. The blocks have around usually 10 objects in each of them, which is pretty underwhelming. They all have the same low opacity block that just acts as like some sort of block design, and they have all these lines in them. I forgot what they were called. The colors are also very lackluster. It uses the same colors throughout the full level, which is like 1 minute and 20 seconds. The background is also very underwhelming, as it's usually just a bit of slopes and maybe some glow objects moving around. The gameplay is decent at most. At the drop, it's just very unclear if you have to click there, especially with the pads with the ship. And the key is also kind of weird for the first time if you're playing it. The end is probably the worst part of the level, as it's just a bunch of outlines with some glow and some text that probably took more effort than the rest of the level did. Overture is probably the worst of the Fire Gauntlet, and it definitely shows. Outer Space is okay. Just okay. The block design isn't that bad, even though it's copied and pasted around the whole level. The level doesn't feel as empty as Overture did, because of all the air deco and more prominent backgrounds. And yeah, the backgrounds are also a lot better, even though it's just some slopes and some pulsing circles, but they're more opaque, which makes it, I guess, more prominent. The boss fight is also pretty creative, at least for the time. The level overall is just okay. I like the faces that are just randomly put around the level, and I like the background that's like the end half of the level where they just combine two of the backgrounds, like the slopes and the pulsing circles. That was pretty cool. My only real complaint is the transition between the pre-drop and the drop. It's kind of lazy, honestly. It's just a bunch of blue pads and black blocks. Also, for some reason, the boss just kind of just moves away from me after it does a few attacks. Well, I don't know. I like the ending. It's pretty intense for a player who's not as good as the game. The gameplay is nothing special, just your average 2.0 gameplay. Overture is just good, honestly. First Race is like a combination of all the good things I've said so far about the last two levels. The background is prominent, the colors are really good, and the gameplay is pretty sight-readable and beginner-friendly. The block design, while although kind of empty, at least is better than just copying and pasting just a bunch of random objects into black blocks or low opaque blocks. My only complaint is that the gameplay can be a bit boring at times, like the last section, and the song is also really good. First Race is secured in the 3rd spot in the Fire Gauntlet, for sure. This was really hard to choose between Magmatic Sanctuary and Shock, but I think Magmatic Sanctuary was just a bit better than Shock. Shock has a lot of interesting things about it. A lot of good and some bad. One one thing you should do in every design level you make is turn on don't fade, don't enter, as sometimes it can mess with the boundaries of your levels. Shock has pretty varied block design throughout the whole thing, and pretty good effects. The song and color usage is really well done. The sync is on point. The gameplay can be a bit confusing at times, but just a bit. My only complaint about this level is that in the drop, Danalex gets extremely lazy and just makes the blocks low opacity blocks and some circles with outlines. Shock is overall a very good level, but Magmatic Sanctuary just took the top.
Whoa, it's Woolsey.
Magmatic Sanctuary is obviously the best level in the Fire Gauntlet. It actually has the theme of fire, well, lava I guess, but still fire, and it's just a good level in general. Each part of the level has a different type of block design and has some cool effects. The gameplay is pretty unsight readable, but it's still pretty good, especially towards the end. The reason I thought this was better than Shock was probably just because of the variety of stuff, especially in the backgrounds too. This is basically a perfect Gauntlet level when it comes to theming. This level is just really good. This was by far the longest video it took me to make, and probably the most effort I've ever put into a video, so please just like the video, I guess. This list was all opinion based, so don't get mad at me if your opinions are different, please. Alright, that's about it. See ya.